have an emergency. We've been hacked. Ransomware has infected our systems, and now our customer database is compromised.
Oh no, that's a huge problem. We have to do something about this ASAP. I called this meeting because we have an emergency at hand. Our company's customer database was attacked by ransomware. Hackers have encrypted critical data and demand payment in exchange for an encryption key.
What?
No need to panic. Our IT department has already isolated the affected computers and notified the authorities. They advised us not to pay the ransom.
What about our customer data? How can we recover it? This will greatly affect our operation.
We back up our data regularly so there's not much disruptions to our daily operations.
What I'm worried about is that we will be launching our online shopping services soon. Our IT is good, but with what happened recently, we may need expert help with cybersecurity.
What do you recommend?
I suggest we hire a cybersecurity consultant.
I agree. Our online shopping services will be launching soon. So, new technology will bring us new security. Therefore, we need to hire an expert.
All those in favor of engaging services of cybersecurity consultant say aye.
Aye.
Then it is agreed.
Good morning, ma'am. I understand that we will be engaging the services of a cybersecurity consultant.
Yes, we need to protect our system from threats in anticipation of our online shop launch.
Very well. Then we have to draft a consultancy agreement.
What information do you need, attorney?
Since in a consultancy agreement, we seek to retain the services of a consultant for a set period of time at a set rate of remuneration, it should clearly reflect the specific scope of the services to be rendered by the consultant, the terms and conditions, payment, the timeline. It should also deal on the potential issues that may arise from the contract and the steps that we will take in case of dispute.
That makes sense. Let's meet with our IT head so we can plan out the details of the consultancy agreement.
During the planning stage of contract drafting, it is important to make a contract plan or checklist that details the outline of the process one will take in drafting, as well as the terms and conditions to be included in the final contract. This tool will come in handy in interviewing your clients. A well-crafted contract plan or checklist can help you avoid costly legal battles down the line and ensure that the contract you draft actually reflects how you want your business relationship to be.
Engineer Matias,
Attorney in the flesh.
Hello,
I'm with our
engineer.
CEO,
A
Ms.
pleasure to meet you, madam.
Engineer Matias, we would like to thank you for responding to our request for your consultancy service.
We really need your help.
Of course, madam. I'm glad to be of service.
We have reviewed your proposal and we are happy with the services that you offer. So now we are handing you a copy of our offer. As a consideration for your service, we are offering you a compensation of 2 million pesos for the whole duration of the contract.
As for the compensation, I would like to counter your offer due to the use of special software that I will be utilizing in the company. Let's say 2,161,000 pesos is more accurate and more compensating for the services that I will be rendering in your company. Are you amenable to that, madam?
Alright, that sounds reasonable. We will comply.
As for the payments, may I also suggest that it may be made monthly basis due to commitments that must be settled before they become due. Are you alright with this?
Okay, that can be arranged, engineer.
Also, as stated in your contract, I'm amenable to the provision that I must render an initial cybersecurity intervention within the first 7 days. May the company compensate my cost of travel and hotel accommodation?
Engineer, we regret that the company will have to reject your request because the company believes that the 2,161,000 pesos is already enough to cover for that expenses.
As clearly stated in the contract, I would like to emphasize that I will not be liable for any missed deadlines that the company fails to give the resources that I may require in the execution of the task properly. Also, I'm amenable on conducting an orientation on cybersecurity on your technical team.
Consultancy agreement. The public is alerted. This consultancy agreement is entered into on April 30, 2024 by and between the Nunez Shopping Mall, a corporation duly organized and existing by virtue of Philippine laws, with office address at Zone 9 Imelda Rosas Avenue, Barangay Bitano, Legazpi City, Albay, represented by its President and Chief Executive Officer, Joan Hazel M. Nunez, as evidenced by Board Resolution number 0708, dated April 25, 2024, hereinafter referred to as NSM. And Engineer Judel A. Matias, of legal age, single, Filipino, and with postal address at 3rd floor, Unit 1, NYA Building, Rosario Street, Barangay 7, Baño, Legazpi City, Albay, herein referred to as the consultant. Whereas NSM's customer database was attacked by ransomware and the hackers have encrypted critical data and demand payment in exchange for a decryption key. Whereas NSM needs the advisory and consultancy services of a professional for NSM's information technology applications, cybersecurity, and digital solutions. Whereas the procurement of a consultant is necessary in order to render competent professional services and augment the efforts of regular personnel of NSM. Whereas the NSM Board of Directors have approved the engagement of an IT consultant per Board Resolution number 0707 dated April 25, 2024. Whereas the consultant represents and warrants that he possesses the necessary education, technical expertise, and experience required for the deliverables as described herein. Whereas foregoing considered and after conducting meetings and deliberations, the NSM desires to contract the services of the consultant and the consultant desires to perform specific work and provide advisory and technical services. Whereas the parties desire to establish the terms and conditions of such consultancy under a written contract. Now therefore, for and in consideration of the foregoing premises, the parties hereto have agreed as follows. Section 2. Definitions and Interpretation. The headings to the clauses and schedules, if any, of this agreement are for reference purposes only and shall not govern or affect the interpretation of, nor modify or amplify the terms of this agreement or any clause or schedule hereof. Unless inconsistent with the text, the words and expressions set forth below shall bear the following meanings. Section 3. Commencement and Duration. Commencement. This agreement shall commence on May 6, 2024 and shall remain in effect for a period of 12 months unless sooner terminated based on the provisions of the next paragraph. Termination. Parties may terminate this agreement without cause and without liability by giving 30 calendar days written notice of such termination to the other party. Section 4. Obligation of the parties. Item A. Responsibility of the company. For the services rendered, NSM shall pay the consultant a professional fee in the amount of 2,161,000 pesos for the whole duration of the agreement as stated in Section 2A, subject to applicable tax, payable via credit to its deposit account with Philippine National Bank in accordance with the procedure and terms of payment under Section 4 of this agreement. Item B. Responsibilities of the consultant. The NSM hereby engages the consultant to provide and perform the following: cybersecurity, advisory and consultancy services, IT service management, IT and software support, and service monitoring. Section 5. Terms of payment. Item A. Release of fees. Consultancy fees shall be processed and released on a monthly basis with 5 business days upon the consultant's submission of a billing invoice or statement with a detailed progress or accomplishment report indicating the services rendered and tasks accomplished. Section 6. Ownership of outputs. Item A. Ownership. The consultant agrees to assign and hereby assign to NSM all right, title, and interest whatsoever to the work product. All work products shall be the sole and exclusive property of the NSM, and the consultant waives any claim of right or title thereto, which may be asserted against NSM. Section 7. Confidential information. Item A. Non-disclosure and non-use. Unless otherwise agreed in advance and in writing by the NSM, the consultant will not, except as required by law or court order, use or disclose to any third party confidential information for any purpose whatsoever other than the performance of the services. This agreement or contents hereof shall be considered confidential information, which will not be disclosed to any third party except when may be required by law. Item C. Breach of confidentiality. The consultant's breach of the confidentiality provision shall entitle NSM to legal and other equitable remedies, including but not limited to the immediate cancellation of the contract, and shall entitle NSM for claim for damages and injunctive relief under the circumstances. NSM may also elect to terminate further access by the consultant to any data and information. The stipulations under this section shall survive the expiration or termination of this agreement. Section 8. Independent contractor status and contract prohibitions. Item A. Independent contractor. The consultant is an independent contractor and is not by this agreement or anything herein contained, constituted, or appointed as an agent or employee of NSM for any purpose whatsoever, nor shall anything herein contained be deemed or construed as granting the consultant any right or authority to assume or to create any obligation or responsibility, express or implied, for or on the behalf of NSM or bind NSM in any way whatsoever. Item B. Non-competition. During the term of this agreement and 5 years thereafter, the consultant will not engage or accept employment or consultancy services in any business which is directly or indirectly competitive with the business activities of the NSM. Item C. Prohibiting against subcontracting. The consultant shall perform all services personally and shall not assign, transfer, delegate, or subcontract any work or portions thereof to any third party without the written approval of the NSM. Nothing in this agreement shall prevent the assignment by the NSM of this agreement or any right, duty, or obligation hereunder to any third party. Section 9. Penalty. Any breach committed by the consultant of any of his obligations under Sections 4B, Responsibilities of the Consultant, Section C, Ownership of Outputs, Section 7, Confidential Information, and Section 8B and C, Non-Competition and Prohibition against Subcontracting, shall be sanctioned by the payment of a penalty equivalent to 30% of the agreed consultancy fee as fixed under Section 4A of this agreement. Section 10. Miscellaneous. Item B. Alternative dispute resolution. Any dispute, controversy, or claim which may arise out of or in connection with this agreement or the breach, termination, or invalidity thereof shall be resolved by negotiation and consultation by the parties in good faith, which shall be deemed to commence on the date that a party sends to the other party a written notice of a dispute. Any dispute not resolved within the period of 60 days from the date of sending of the written notice of such dispute, or in the event that a dispute arises from or in connection with such dispute, shall be exclusively resolved by arbitration. Item C. Governing law. All questions concerning the validity or meaning of this agreement or relating to the rights and obligations of the parties with respect to performance under this agreement shall be construed and resolved under the laws of the Philippines. Item D. Severability. Should any provision of this agreement be declared or become wholly or partly illegal, invalid, or unenforceable, the legality, validity, or enforceability of the remaining provisions of this agreement shall not be affected as a result. Item E. Non-waiver. No failure by either party to insist upon strict compliance with any term of this agreement, to exercise any option, to enforce any right, or to seek any remedy upon any default of the other party shall affect or constitute a waiver of the first party's right to insist upon strict compliance, to exercise that option, to enforce that right, or to seek that remedy with respect to that default or any prior contemporaneous or subsequent default. Item F. Force majeure. If the performance of any part of this agreement by either party shall be affected for any length of time by fire or other casualty, government restrictions, war, riots, strikes or labor disputes, lockout, transportation delays, acts of God, or any other causes which are beyond the control of the parties, such party shall not be responsible for delay or failure of performance of this agreement for such length of time, provided, however, that the obligation of one party to pay amounts due to any other party shall not be subject to the provisions of this section. Item G. Integration Agreement. This agreement contains the entire agreement between the parties and supersedes all prior or contemporaneous discussions, negotiations, representations, warranties, or agreements relating to the subject matter of this agreement. No changes to this agreement shall be made or be binding on either party unless made in writing and signed by both parties. Executed by the parties as of the date above at Legazpi City, Albay.
With you are copies of the final contract between Nunez Shopping Mall and Engineer Jude Matias. They are ready for your signature.
Okay, everything looks good. Thank you.
Great. I'm happy that we have come to an agreement with the terms of the contract. Shall we sign to formalize everything?
Here.
Thank you. We look forward to working with you.
Yes, of course.
Congratulations, NSM team! Our online shopping service is a success.
It's been a month since we have launched the platform, and our sales have significantly increased.
I'm also happy to report that despite of adopting new technology, we have been free of cybersecurity threats.
Yes, it was a great idea to engage the cybersecurity consultant.
Thank you to our IT department for working with our consultant to enhance our security system.
And of course, thank you to our legal counsel for preparing a contract that clearly defined the rights, obligations, and responsibilities of each party. You help protect the legal interests of NSM and minimize potential risks that our company may face.
My pleasure.
Again, congratulations to all!
Ba itong